Hello everyone, welcome to the very first episode of Trapped in My Mind. I am your host, Seth Atkinson, and today I have the welcoming of one of my oldest friends, Cecil.
Hello, beautiful people.
Thank you for being on. I've been mentioning this to you for, 2 months now, how I wanted to do this?
Yeah.
And you were one of the people from the get-go to be like, oh yeah, I'm down for it.
Yeah, I think, honestly, everybody should try to have a podcast or something like that. I think it's important for people to get their voice out, have these conversations, and do something like this. So, congrats. We're here.
Hopefully it goes how I want it to.
Yeah, cheers, man.
Yeah, cheers. No, I'm excited because when you said that, we were having drinks, a couple months ago,
Mm-hmm.
and you were saying that everybody should have a podcast, and at first I was like, ooh, that could be dangerous. But the point is, people don't have to listen if they don't like it. So it voices out what you're trying to do, and people don't have to. It's not forced in their face.
Right. Well,
So.
Everybody has, multiple social media accounts. So, I think this is just kind of another form or another branch of that. But it's a little bit more, endearing and personal and whatnot. But, I think we could get to a place where everybody kind of has something like this.
Yeah, and now that I've heard your explanation, previously, I think why not have a podcast? No one listened to it, fine, but I think lots of people do it, and they'll have 20 viewers a week, and they don't really care. It's for them, and that's. Right. I'm not trying to get a lot of viewers. If it happens, it happens, but I'm trying to sit down and expand my horizons. So, Thank you for that.
Of course.
I'm excited to speak with you because you were one of the people who I've grown up with that got rid of social media. Well, Facebook, I think, what 10 years you haven't had a Facebook?
Yeah, I think I went away with Facebook probably before high school.
Okay.
So, it's been a long time, probably 10 years, yeah.
And even the social media you have now,
I have Snapchat.
I was going to say, you don't have, I think it's been since high school since you've had Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter, I'd say I got rid of maybe sophomore, junior year of high school.
Uh-huh.
And then Instagram, probably a couple years out. But I got rid of Instagram I did Sober October. And
This past year?
No, this is probably 2-3 years ago.
Okay.
I did Sober October, and I wanted to kind of do something else with it as well. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to do social media for this whole month of October. So, which at that point it was really only Snapchat and Instagram.
Uh-huh.
But I got through that month, and I was like, why go back? Like, what kind of joy did that bring me? What did I get out of having an Instagram account and looking at other people's stuff and me posting things? And I was like, all right, well, let's make it 2. And then, I got through 3 months, and it was like, yeah, I don't need this. I don't want to go back. There's no real reason for me to have this.
See, that's news to me. I thought you still had Instagram because we went on vacation a year back.
Yeah.
And you posted, I think, maybe a picture, or maybe I just tagged you in posts, but because your account's not deactivated, I don't think.
No, I don't think it is. Well, so this is actually I haven't signed in since that October.
Oh, okay.
So and when I read, I was trying to delete the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
and when I read the terms and conditions or whatever it was, it said a year of inactivity, your account will automatically be terminated.
Oh, really?
So a year passed, and I remember asking somebody, look up my Instagram handle and see if it's still there.
I think it is.
And yeah, I'm pretty sure it is, but I have not been on it. I don't have the app.
I wonder if it's activity like you can't be tagged in anything or something like that.
That could also be
I posted pictures with you tagged, and I'm like, why does this motherfucker not like it?
Yeah, I know. And that's the thing. That's why I wanted to completely delete it, because I didn't want people to message me or request to follow me or tag me in something, and then me just not answer. I don't want them to feel like I'm just totally blowing them off. I really don't use it.
Aren't you well, I shouldn't make assumptions, but for me, even posts that may have looked deleted on my page because they're not there anymore, I have archived because I'm there's still memories. Aren't you not concerned, but I wouldn't want to delete all of those things because even though I have those pictures saved in my phone just under photos, I don't have the captions and the comments. It's I like to look back at those things sometimes and be like, oh, well.
Yeah, there's definitely some things I miss, and I feel like I'm, maybe out of the loop and, certain things I don't know who's having kids now. I don't know who's married.
Everyone.
Yeah, I don't know those exact people, but it's also kind of freeing in a way, or exhilarating to not have to think about those other people. You're not seeing what they're doing. You're not, overwhelmed with thousands of friends and, this and that and their latest fucking discovery or trip. It kind of forces you to focus more on you and what you're doing and what you want to do rather than like one of my biggest pet peeves is like somebody will go do something and then somebody will be like, yo, dude, so-and-so did this, we got to go do that now. It's like, I mean, yeah, we can, but like just because they did it, you want to do it now? Try to have, what do you want to do? Not what you want to do because they did it. What do you want to do?
Yeah, but couldn't you say on the inverse too? Like sometimes someone will bring or they'll post something that you never even thought of, and it's like, oh well, I want to do that. Not because they're doing it, because it's a new idea. Or like, you could also say that if I see somebody who has all these things that I think I want, it will inspire me to work harder to get that. So like I could see it going both ways. Like if I don't look at anybody's, I won't compare myself to them. But also sometimes comparing myself to others enables me to work harder to achieve it. Whether it be false happiness once I get there or whatnot. I haven't done that yet, but
yeah, I mean, now that you say that, I think maybe some of the reason why I don't partake in social media is because I don't want to compare myself, like you said, to those people, because I think it's really easy to think that, well, they're doing it, what am I doing? You're sitting in bed with your dick in your hand and, seeing, people, going on trips and shit like that, and you're like, oh, fuck, It's really easy to get down on yourself because of what other people are doing. But you have to realize that's one person out of however many people, and then however many people are also posting their experiences and what they want you to see. So you're just constantly seeing, the best things. You're constantly comparing yourself to what other people are doing, but you don't get to see them in bed with their dick in their hand. You know what I'm saying?
Well, also, it's not so much you're seeing what other people are doing, you're seeing what they want you to see them doing. So it's like,
right.
Because the people are actually, like, for example, if I see you or Wes or Freed, one of my good friends, and I miss a lot of friends, so I'm not trying to single you out, but if I see you guys post something that is like an accomplishment that you're proud of, I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, it'll make me happy to see. However, if, I see somebody I know post some shit that I know is not true, but they're doing it for clout or whatever, it's like, that shit's annoying. Yes. Or if like it's somebody who I don't know and I see them post something, how do I know if they're actually doing these things that they're posting about? So then you can compare yourself to somebody's false reality, which is, puts you down that hole of, oh, I'm not good enough or whatever. But, I mean, I think the idea of social media can have very positive parts to it and also 100%. Very negative things. So it's like trying to find that yin and yang of...
Yeah. And this isn't to say that I'm never going to have another social media account in my life. I feel like for right now... It feels good for me. I don't necessarily miss Twitter. I don't miss Instagram. I don't miss Facebook. Maybe eventually I'll make a new one or something like that. But at the same time, so say you see me, Free, whoever, post something that that you're proud of them for, and like, oh fuck yeah, good for you. I think a lot is lost there because I would much rather say I get this big accomplishment and I post it. It's like, okay, yeah, cool. Oh yeah, and then you tell somebody about it. Oh yeah, I saw your post, blah blah blah. I want to like tell you right now, me and you. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a lot of disconnect when people post things and people just like it, give it a heart, comment on it. So I want to try to save those surprises or save those things, show you the pictures in person when we can actually have a dialogue. And it's not just a fucking heart.
Yeah.
There's too much disconnect there for me. I like to have these kinds of conversations, and I like to like share experiences with people.
Yeah, but and I definitely get that. Having a one-on-one conversation about anything is way better than via the internet. However, at least for me, sometimes like I feel like either I don't want to bother people by be like, hey, can I tell you something I did real quick? It's a lot easier for me to post it, and then they can see if they want to see it, than me like, hey, I want to tell you something I did, or I also don't want to feel like I'm bragging specifically to that person or being condescending, like, look what I did. Yeah. And I think most of my friends would know that wouldn't be my intention, but I still feel like if I'm telling somebody one-on-one something I'm proud of, it's hard for me to be like, not feel as if it's going to be received badly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As where if I post it online, you can either see it or not see it, and if you do see it, you get the option to be like, oh, good job. So which maybe is egotistical, I don't know, but...
No, I mean, I like to try, like we mentioned earlier, conversation is an art, and I think it's getting lost in social media, in different, kinds of avenues that just pulls people further and further apart. So, I mean, you may say that you sound braggy or something if you call up your buddy and say, yo, here's some good news. But, like, why aren't you calling your buddy in the first place? It's because you're keeping in touch with them on those platforms, but it's really not in touch. You know what I'm saying? I feel like there just needs to be more connection between actual human beings instead of some sort of screen between us separating us.
No, that's a good point. What I mentioned is like the new norm, which if we didn't have social media, we never would have been posting anywhere. We would have been having those conversations.
Yep.
I think a lot of it is too is people want more people to know because they're not satisfied with, they might have a few really good friends, but that's not enough because they see everybody else having all these followers, which I can't tell if I'm in that side or not, because I have a lot of really good friends. Mm-hmm. I also want more, not because mine aren't sufficient, but like, I don't know, dude. I just like making connections with people. So it's like, for me, I like social media in the regard of it helps me connect with more people. And sometimes it's bullshit. It's bullshit relationships, and that is what it is. But sometimes it can turn into something else. So I definitely see the positives and the negatives. I haven't gone to the lengths of deleting anything, but I will tell you, Twitter would be the first one. Twitter or Facebook. Instagram, I think I can use it for what it's for. But
that was my natural progression.
Fuck, dude.
I was getting sick of Facebook. I was just kind of done with it. And plus, like, back then, I'm a freshman in high school. All my family's coming out. I'm like, I don't need to stay disconnected with my family. Aunts and uncles and whatnot. And then I remember Twitter. Like, I remember having like this thought every time I go on the app. I'm like, this isn't making me happy. This isn't bringing me joy. I'm like exiting the app out of frustration, out of anger because of something I saw, something somebody said, and it's just like, I don't need that.
No.
And so it was just kind of an easy choice to be like, okay, Twitter's done. Instagram was a lot harder because I'm much more visual.
Yeah.
I like the pictures. Yeah. I like to see what other people are doing, where they're going, the places they've seen, this and that. But the same thing, the app kind of changed throughout its time. And, I was talking to somebody and they said that now it's basically just like an online shopping store. It's just nothing but ads and, shit like that, which, like, again, I don't really care to see that. I know countless people that have been ripped off by, Instagram buying shit, and I don't know. So if I had to have one back, I would probably say Instagram.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I have Snapchat is because I think that people don't post as much on it.
Yeah, you don't have to look at stories. It's just a quick way to communicate.
Exactly, and that's what I use it for, is strictly for like communication. Because there's umpteen amount of people on Snapchat that I don't have their number. So I mean, that's like my main source of communication with them if I ever need to. So I mean,
well, and being visual, having like literally most messages I'm sending people, whether it be text or Snapchat, is a very quick one. If I'm having like a full blown conversation, I'll text somebody or call them. But if it's like a one-off or, very loose conversation, sometimes a laugh or whatever, like seeing somebody's face and how they respond to it, I enjoy that more, which is why I never look at stories. And the weird thing is, I can't tell you why, I used to feel like incomplete. Like every time I'd go to bed, I'd be like, okay, I have to watch all the stories, have to look at all of the newsfeed until it's done, which is
on every app,
which is mind-boggling to me because I feel like I used to spend so much time there. Even on Instagram, I don't look at anyone's stories anymore because, and sorry if you wanted me to look at your stories, because literally I feel like most of it's people just posting like a note. It's not even like a picture; it's just a note. It's like, I like the positive messages, but like, isn't that what like Tumblr's for? Like, why? Like, all of these social media platforms are becoming the same thing, just on a different avenue. But I will say, as bad as it sounds, I feel like I couldn't get rid of Instagram. But let me just tell you, Facebook is either for family or for just some wild fucking takes, which it's almost hysterical to me. Like that, I'll go on there and be like, what the fuck is wrong up with this person? Especially because the people on my Facebook, I don't know. I have like over 1,000 friends, and I don't know half of them. So like seeing their updates, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But Twitter, if it wasn't for like getting my news of Barcelona soccer, Kid Cudi, or some shoes, I wouldn't be on there because literally, and I'll give an example. So Chance the Rapper, one of my favorite artists, right? Mm-hmm. I think his music discography has kind of gotten worse as it's gone along because I'm not aligned so much with what his content is now as where before it I don't want to say spoke to me more, but like it was just more relatable. Like Acid Rap was really good, Call Me Buck was really good. The Big Day, or his most recent one, I still thought was good music, but like I'm not super religious, or I'm not, I'm not married, I don't have kids. Like all the stuff he was rapping about, I'm like, well, it sounds good, but I mean, it's not like, it doesn't speak to me that much. And literally, Twitter is fucking grilling that man, saying, "Oh, his music's ass. Fuck him." It's like, dude, why are you hating on somebody because they're rapping about something that makes them happy? If you don't like it, fuck off. And the thing is, everyone's gonna have their opinions, right? And the power of social media is you can share that literally any second. And it was funny. I was listening to. I'm going down a rabbit hole here, but feel free to stop me. I was listening to a podcast, and it was a comedian's podcast, and he was saying before, if you had a thought, you would have to, if you wanted it to be published, you'd have to think of that, write it down, drive or walk or gallop to the printing store, get it printed out, wait for it to get published in the news, and then send it out. Now you can literally be like, I have a thought, send it out. You know how fucking dangerous that is?
Yeah.
And so, point being, everyone has a thought, and they'll put it out instantly, right? And even if you're not in the majority, there's so many fucking people in this world. You can put out a batshit crazy take, and there'll be 100,000 people that agree with you, and be like, "Oh, dude, well, 100,000 people agree with me." It's a hot. It's a take that everybody has. So then that's how this cancel culture of like, with Chance specifically, you have one person who doesn't like his shit, and now it sounds like there's like a whole bunch of people that don't like his shit, but his album still debuted at number 2.
That's the minority.
Yeah. But that's who's loudest, and it's so fucking annoying. It's like, dude, because all it is, I feel like Twitter specifically, every time I go in there, there's 2 sides of Twitter. There's meme and funny Twitter. Well, I should say 3 sides. Meme and funny Twitter, which I enjoy. News, which I enjoy. That's where I get my news from. Guilty. And then there's like the depressing, you can't be happy, I have to bitch about everything. And it's like, but that's what the majority is. Yep. So you go on there, and everyone's just been like, fuck this, fuck that. It's like, Chance, why are you putting him down because he's happy?
Right.
And like, if you say like, oh, you like Chance or Logic, he's phony, whatever. If I go on there and I like Logic or I like Chance, or somebody said that about like Kid Cudi, I'd be like, what the fuck, dude? Fuck you. And then like it'd get me mad because I'm like, I see all these people hating on something I like, so I feel the need to argue with them. And I used to get into Twitter fights, and now I don't. But point being, sorry to go down the rabbit hole.
No, I'm glad you
Twitter is so fucking like you have to be like, everything has to be negative. Or it's funny. And I like the funny stuff, which is why I'm staying. But, God, I'm so close to getting rid of it.
Well, I think that, Twitter especially, but I think all of the social media apps and platforms have gotten so big that it's kind of like we're on a runaway train. At this point, we have social media platforms and apps calling elections, persuading, different people on how to think, what to think, when to think. We have, organized groups coming together on these platforms. It's just, I know there's really no good way to censor it or to, get a grasp of it, but we're at the point now where I feel like it's just, we have to sacrifice our well-being and our thoughts to that.
Yeah.
And I say sacrifice our thoughts to that in contrast, instead of talking to a human being, because when you post it on that, you can get by scot-free saying whatever you want whenever you want, and you might get some tweets back saying, I don't agree with this, or you should be thinking this way.
You'll get canceled if it's
but you don't have to back up your point of view. Where in something like this, you say something, I might challenge you on it, and vice versa,
and that's how you learn,
right? So for lack of a better term, I think it's just making us dumber. It's making us more disconnected.
It's dumber, and I would say divided.
Yes.
Because you can literally go on there, put your take, and like you said, you don't have to back it up. I could literally go on there and be like, I fucking hate blank, and then literally never think about it again. And that tweet just pissed off a number of people because they love blank. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, so instantly you divided somebody, and now people are frustrated.
Yep.
Which is,
And I know that, like, this isn't to throw shade at, Jack Dorsey or any other Twitter founder.
Oh, yeah.
Any other, founder of these platforms.
Zuckerberg.
Yeah. Because I don't think they had this intention. I don't think they ever saw this to where it was going to go. But they assumed the responsibility to kind of control it and to try to keep it where it's supposed to be. And I think it's to the point where it's not where it's supposed to be. It's just running fucking rampant.
Yeah.
And we don't know what to do about it.
And because, like you said, it's making us dumber, there's ways that social media is good. For example, 100%. I got the word out about this podcast through social media.
Yes.
You can accomplish a lot of great things in social media.
Yes.
But we use it for the good and the bad, and I feel like the majority of it's for the bad. Or maybe that's just what's in my feed. I don't know.
Well, it's easier to use it for the bad. It's easier to send a tweet and, piss a couple people off. And you might even get joy from that. Like, oh, I'm going to...
Trolling, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Trolling. It is fun sometimes. That's the thing, is I'm also guilty of it.
Yeah, so, there's people that's going to do that. There's people that's going to actually use it for good. There's people that's not going to give a shit about it. Maybe like me. But I'm not here to say that social media is bad.
No. I'm
just saying that I think we need to take a step back, look at it for what it is, and re-evaluate what we're doing. I truly think that this is dividing us more, as you said. It's disconnecting us. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot easier to look at our friends or look at somebody that you like through a screen than actually confront them face to face, have some sort of conversation, have fun.
Yeah.
And again, to be noted, it's harder right now during this climate because of COVID and whatnot. Yeah. But I think there's still ways that you can actually have some sort of human contact and that's even so much more valuable. Yes, that's so much more valuable than a post or a like or a favorite or whatever.
It is weird how we're conditioned to because I hate to say pull up facts because I don't know what the actual facts are, but I feel like I've read a study that said it compared the positive feelings of a like or of a comment on a post to the negative, and although there are a lot of if somebody likes my picture, I'm like, oh yeah, cool, or I got a lot of followers. It's cool, but the negative feelings of a bad comment or a dislike or whatever, or an unfollow is 10 times that of a positive feeling. So it's what the fuck? But
100%.
I never thought of what you said, which is actually really funny. You said it's easier for it to be bad, and I think about that. If I'm sending a bullshit tweet, whether it be a comedic tweet or I'm pissed off, or I used to do it a lot in high school. I'd just send an emotional tweet. I would literally send it and wouldn't even think send it. If I'm posting something that I care about, like this post, I took almost an hour and a half to post about my podcast because I had to record it, set it up, groom it to make sure it's presentable. So I put a lot more time and thought and energy into a positive interaction with social media, as where the one-offs is done, and then you don't have to think about it.
And that's the problem. On social media, you can not think about a tweet, or you can do whatever, because it doesn't take a lot of effort. You're not putting a lot of effort into this tweet because it doesn't really matter to you. You're just putting it out there for whoever to see.
Yeah.
Where, in contrast, like you said, if you want to put some effort into this, you want this tweet to get attention or to gain some sort of traction, you're going to put the effort into it. So with social media, it's a lot easier to be shitty than it is to be nice, or a lot easier to be bad than it is to be good, regarding posts and the content in those posts.
It's also
and I think it's the opposite face to face. It's a lot harder for me to tell you you're a piece of shit than it is for me to be like, yo,
but it's also way more powerful.
Yeah.
It's oh shit.
This is a great thing. I love what we're doing. Thank you so much for having me. It's so much easier for me anyway to say something nice to you than it is bad to you face to face. But over a screen or over, a computer or whatever, I can say, A, B, and C about you, and I don't see your reaction. I don't see what you say about it. I don't see your response. And it's done and everybody can see it.
Well, how many times has somebody sent you a Snapchat and you go, haha, it was funny. But if they actually would have said this to you in person, you probably would have laughed because they would have been laughing. But it's that's not conveyed in just a...
There's a lot that gets lost.
Yeah. So I definitely feel that. Do you think, because like I said, I've never deleted any social media. I'm thinking about it with Twitter, but I get all my news on Kid Cudi from there, so maybe not.
Yeah.
But you said there was nothing you gained from having it, so you thought. Was it all negative? Was it starting to take a toll on you, or just annoying?
I wasn't getting cyberbullied, I wasn't getting bullied. I wasn't getting hate. I wasn't getting harassed or anything like that. That's not why I got rid of it. But I think the main reason why I did was just because I realized where it was going. I realized too much of my time was being consumed by this, and I didn't want to focus on that anymore. I mean, I will say that I've turned to other vices, to take that place, but I feel like they're a little bit more healthy or beneficial to me. And I ever necessarily like good at social media. I guess you could say, you know, like
your aesthetic wasn't there.
Yeah, I never had like the funny tweets or the, you know, the crazy Instagram posts or, you know, anything like that. Like I never had a huge following, so it wasn't hard.
So you weren't
to,
fake.
like, give that up, right? Yeah, I guess I showed my true self on social media. Nobody gave a fuck. So I'm like, okay, well, tried that, did that. It didn't really work, and I don't feel like I need this in my life anymore to make it better.
Yeah. I don't really know exactly what I was thinking during that. But the one thing I will say is, like, to your point, it's not so much that people don't care. It's just, like, it's so much easier to be whatever you want on social media. Like, I know a handful of people who have a huge Twitter or Instagram following, and it's either because they're hot or because they say some shit that they would never say in person. I know people who are so outgoing on social media, and you were with them, and they're like a fucking turtle of themselves. Or you have people who are always like, oh, I love my friends, I do all these things, I have so many friends, I'm always positive, and you're with them, and they're like, actually, you're not with them because they're never hanging out with anybody, and if they do, it's only for a picture op or a photo op. It's like, I don't know what kind of rabbit hole I was going down, but it is, I hate the thought that, like, your authentic self on social media and people didn't like it. It's just like, it wasn't interesting compared to the person who had all these things because they made it sound like they had all these things.
And you said, you know, a lot of people with, you know, huge followings and whatnot, and then in person they're a shell of what they actually are.
Yeah.
You know, on
they're boring as shit in person. And boring as shit.
I would much rather be the opposite. I would much rather look like a boring nobody on social media, but if you meet me, I'm like, yo, dude, let's have a conversation. I want to hang out with you. I want to get to know you. I want to do this. I want to do that. Like, I would much rather be more confident and comfortable in myself in real life than on some sort of made up thing that I'm creating online.
Dude, that's like adults. Like, adults are on social media now, but I don't think, well, I think all adults are on Facebook. Like, it's crazy. I know my parents are, but in general, like, if I meet an adult, on the way they look on social media is not like super interesting, but lots of times they're so fucking funny. Like, people, you know, either I work with or I meet along the way, or my friends' parents. I'm like, oh, these guys are fucking hilarious, and like, but I wouldn't like their personality on social media. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it's hard to portray. Well, for me anyway, it was hard for me to portray my personality on social media. So it was hard for me to like actually show myself on social media. You know, some people can just like pick up the phone and be like, you know, yo, I can't do that. I feel weird. I feel uncomfortable. I don't feel myself. I would much rather not have the phone in front of my face and have another human in front of my face. And that's just, and not even to say like once I got rid of social media, I got all these fucking new friends and I'm like, you know, hanging out with so much more people. But I don't have like that fallback to where like, oh, if this didn't go well, you know, I can just go tweet and, you know, I'll get 100 likes and, you know, this and that, and it'll feel better.
Well, it's just a blip of time that you feel better.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, I posted it, and you might feel like, oh, dude, I got 160 likes, which for me would be a lot, as for some people it's not. But like, I'd be like, oh, that's cool for the day, and then literally it's like, well, that was yesterday. Now what do I have to keep me happy? It's a vice, like you said. But I mean, it's funny. I forgot what you said that made me think this, but you said it's hard for you to go like make a post and like, oh, like take a picture or whatever. And dude, that's the same. Like, I will, as I kind of said to you before we were recording, I don't know why, but I do like attention sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes it makes me uncomfortable, but it's so weird to me. Like on Instagram, whatever, if you ask me if I like my smile, I'll be like, oh, it's okay, whatever. But I feel so awkward doing a staged photo. So like, if you looked at my Instagram, most of my pictures I'm not smiling. Yeah. Which I feel like doesn't portray who I am, because I feel like maybe I'm wrong, but if you know me, I'm generally smiling or laughing. I'm pretty happy. But like my Instagram, it's like I'm not trying to be like all cool or like, you know, get the fucking smoky eyes going, like be a badass. But it's like I feel uncomfortable like smiling. So like you're not actually seeing who I am. You're seeing somebody who might look cold. Yeah. So it's like.
But see, that's the thing. It's like, okay, well, one, why don't you like smiling or, you know, feeling that like that during, you know, Instagram posts or
feels
whatever.
Forced.
Yeah. And I feel like it's because you are in the back of your mind, you're wondering who's going to see this.
Well, if enough people don't like my smile, it's like, oh.
Right. And that's probably not the case, But now, because you're not smiling on your Instagram, you're creating this different person.
Yeah.
Or this different facade.
That guy's not approachable. He's not happy.
But when, like, if you were to see us in public, probably be laughing, having a good time.
Pretty much every time.
Pretty approachable. You know, like, pretty...
So we think. People might have other opinions.
Very true. But it's just... I hate how you have to have two different personalities in life and on social media. Almost. Yeah. Maybe you don't have to, but I'm not good enough at social media to portray my true personality on that. Like, I couldn't make a tweet and say what I really mean without, like, I mean, I could probably post a voice audio or something like that and just talk, but, like, I can't tweet and, like, actually get what I want to say out. I just think that it's such a low form of communication, and so much gets lost. You don't get to see the person's reaction. You don't get to feel the room. You don't get to hear the actual person's tone of voice or, what they want to portray. You're just reading it. And then while you're reading that, you're in your own mind making up your own narrative for that or making up your own understanding for that.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm talking to you, I can challenge you, and I feel like I know your tone of voice. I know our eye contact.
You'll know if I'm lying,
right,
or if I'm fabricating something.
It's just, I'm not here to just completely bash social media.
Yeah, I got you.
But our generation specifically, I think needs to wake the fuck up and actually build more connections like this rather than online, and worry more about actually going out and doing things, experiencing things, hanging out with people, than worrying about what they're going to post or what their next thing is.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that comes into people's minds. It's like, okay, oh shit, we're in a good spot. Let's take a picture, post on Instagram. No, enjoy it. Enjoy it.
I'm guilty of that, but I hear you. It's crazy world.
I know, dude. It really fucking is.
The thing is, like, I'm so torn on that specifically. Like, if I go on vacation to a cool spot, I like to take a picture to document it, but also I don't want to spend my whole time taking pictures because I actually want to be there. But it's like I feel like if I go to somewhere that's like photo worthy and don't get a picture, I feel like fuck. But I shouldn't. I don't know.
But see, that's the thing. You can get a picture.
Yeah.
You don't have to post it.
Yeah. You're posting it almost subconsciously to like gloat, like look where I went.
Yeah.
And I've done that. Right. I've definitely done that.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that too.
But
I don't want that to be the only motive.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No. Like we've already said, there's good things and there's bad things. But what's crazy to me is that, and again, if you find a study that debunks this, feel free to bring it forward. But the thing I read was that social media is closely tied to depression and suicide and bullying specifically, which is crazy to me because the more and more we use it, the more and more these numbers of people feeling depressed or feeling bullied or whatever are going up, but we continue to use it.
Yeah.
Which is weird because like a weird comparison would be like, it's like cigarettes. We know it's bad for us, but we use it anyway. Cigarettes don't pose anything good, in my opinion. Maybe it gives you a high or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. But social media does have some positives, but the negatives are serious. Like, I don't know how like we can just continue to ignore the fact that it's generally not a good thing for us to be using.
I 100% agree. But I think that it's so easy, and it's a voice for so many people. I mean, I think people are truly addicted to these, sites and these platforms. Yeah. And I think that they're willing to look past that in order to get that little dopamine hit for one like. Or they're willing to look past the bad, and they might feel like shit, and they might not exactly know it's coming from that app, but to them, they're like, if I post this, I'm going to get likes, I'm going to feel better, people are going to like me. You're searching for acceptance.
So how do you break that? Because I could see a lot of things happening. If you go away from social media because you realize it's a vice for you or you spend too much time there, and then maybe you don't have a huge group of friends or family, and you go into like this isolation type mood, then you can move to other things like vices, and maybe they're good, like working out or running or video games or whatever, or maybe they're bad and it's drugs or self-harm or something like that. Like, I think everyone has vices, so to speak.
100%.
Finding the good ones is hard. So you don't really use social media. How did you
Well, I will say I'm 100% addicted to YouTube. Love YouTube.
Okay.
Total YouTube head. I mean,
so that's your vice.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't really look at YouTube as like social media. It is, but it's not as like quick and like.
Well, you don't have to see something if you don't want to see it.
Yeah.
Which I mean, yeah. So you're not retweeting a video, so people that you follow are, you know what I mean?
So I watch quite a bit of YouTube, but I try to keep those things, for things that I find interesting. I don't just watch.
You search for things.
Fail videos, or
I watch those.
I'm just saying, like, that's not all I'm using it for. There's a lot of information on YouTube. There's a lot to be learned on YouTube.
Yeah.
And so that's one of my vices, 100%. I'm glad that I dodged a TikTok bullet. Never downloaded TikTok.
I fucking love TikTok.
I know.
It's so funny, dude.
I never want to like touch it. I never want to go near it, just because.
Did you use Vine?
No, never had a Vine. I mean, I would watch Vines. I remember you would show me Vines and stuff.
Dude, they're so funny. See, so what's so bad about it if it makes you laugh? Because I guess you're not learning, but
yeah, there's nothing bad. It's just I don't know. I guess I don't want to say I'm different, but like I don't find those sort of things advantageous for me. I don't necessarily like that kind of thing. Did you go straight from not using social media directly to YouTube, or did you have to try to figure out what your vice would be, or what would fill the void of the time you spent on social media? I mean, I'm sure that I watched YouTube, God, pretty much my whole life.
Everyone's watched YouTube. Yeah.
I'm sure that I hit it a little more heavy once I did, give up Twitter, Instagram, whatever. But I don't know. And it's not like I'm saying, I gave up social media. Now I'm, a marathon runner, and I'm jacked, and
your world's only gone up since then.
Yeah, right. That's totally not the case.
But your mental health's better, or is it just
maybe? I don't know.
Okay.
If I had Twitter today, would I be any happier than I was, yesterday before I downloaded
it?
I'm not sure.
I guess that's the question. Do you not have it now because you just don't care anymore about it, or do you not have it now because you think that it poses some more of a benefit over a disadvantage or a negative?
I'd say a little bit of both. I don't miss it at this point, so why bring that back into my life? I would say. I feel like if I need to get in contact with somebody, or if I want to follow somebody, and what they're doing, I can personally reach out to them. And I wish that was a little bit easier and not so like, because now I feel like it's almost weird.
So that's another thing I want to ask, because I know that last time we got drinks together, you said that you don't really hit up anybody. You don't really you're not a homebody, but you and correct me if I'm wrong. You said you kind of like keep to yourself now, and that you don't really hang out with as many people as maybe you used to in high school or whatever, which I think is normal. I think lots of people would agree with that. Do you think that social media makes that easier to hang out with people, or do you like why don't you hit up more people?
There may be some very good correlation between me not having social media, me not having not talking to as many people as I once did.
Okay.
Maybe I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure it's a big reason, but I'm at the point now where it's like, I grew up with all you guys, the guys and whatnot. I still have some sort of relationship with you. I've made a couple, in college and whatnot. And if somebody wants to be a part of my life, or if I want to be a part of somebody's life, I think that we can work that out, or, be like that. But I think it's a little bit harder now. Like, not as many people are so eager to jump into a friendship or jump into something, like, without
too much time,
without first checking their social media, seeing what they're about, this and that. Like, to me, in my perfect world, I would love to just be able to text an old friend or somebody that I used to know and be like, let's fucking go get drinks, let's go get lunch, let's do something. But now I feel like it's almost weird, like, and it's invasive, or, and I don't want that. I don't want to come off like that. I don't want it to seem like that. I don't want the whole situation to be like that. I wish it was easier. I know it's not, and I know that's not how things work, but that's how I wish it would happen.
Do you think that was in your head? Because I feel like, for me, maybe it's just me, but I feel like if somebody who I haven't talked to in a while hits me up, I'm like, oh, fuck, dude, hell yeah. Or like, for example, going back to, I made this post of who would like to be on this, and I expected maybe like 5 people. And I've had people like this who I haven't talked to since, 8th grade, or I've never even talked to in my life. Yeah. It's like, if they wouldn't have social media, they wouldn't have known about this, and it would have been very hard for me to meet these people. And now I could potentially meet them, have a conversation with them, they become my friend just because of a stupid bullshit surface level interaction on social media. So it's like, again, I'm not trying to weigh the positives and the negatives, but I know for me, one thing that like keeps me motivated and happy and sane is interacting with people. Yeah. My closest friends being the most important, and family. But like, for example, whether it be a new friend or a girlfriend or whatever, sometimes you meet them or first interact with them over social media, and even though it starts off as a bullshit service level relationship, it can blossom into more. As where if I didn't have social media with them, the only way I would have ever met them is either by chance running into them or through a friend of a friend or a friend of a friend of a friend or whatever. Yeah. So it's a lot easier, which is weird because I feel like if I reached out and like DM somebody, it could be weird still, but it's not as weird if I just like looked up somebody's phone number and like texted them like, hey, yeah, well, I'd like to be your friend.
That's what I hate now, is that it's turned into that. Okay. Because of social media. If social media wasn't there, you could totally do that, and that's the normal thing to do. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm obviously not. I guess you could call it, like, I'm a bit of an anomaly. I'm not on social media, so I don't get to see some of those things, or I don't get to connect with some of those people that I might be able to connect to because of social media. But I would rather have like a much more organic way of meeting, or like, you know, through a friend of a friend, or, you know, by happenstance meeting somebody at the bar, or, you know, this and that. Like, I would much rather have that sort of connection than like, oh dude, she's fucking hot, you know, like scrolling through pictures. It's just I don't know, I don't like that. I find it weird, and then I feel like when you do that, you create your own image of how you think that person is going to be. And then you're always trying to match that with what they actually are. Well,
and you're trying to match your reputation to what your image put off.
Right. And so it's all, you know, phony shit to
me. Yeah, it is.
It's all just people putting out what they want you to see. It's all people just... I don't like it personally. Yeah. And I mean, I'm not saying that everybody should, you know, delete social media and social media is the devil, but I just think that there needs to be more recognition of actually what it's doing and how it's changing us and our normal customs that we've had for however many fucking years, you know? So, I guess I'm hoping that I can find some sort of way to still connect with people and still have relationships without it.
Well, if you hear this, reach out to my boy. Reach out to my boy. Yeah. But no, I mean, I feel that. I think maybe, and I've had this type of conversation with a couple people who either don't use it or don't use it often. Yeah. And they say they don't like the phony shit. And I definitely get that. No one wants to have even though we all do it, whether it be an elevator or whatever. Oh, how's the weather? Like, no one really gives a fuck about those conversations. Yeah. And maybe it's just the business person in me, but I feel like lots of times you need to have those conversations to open a door to a real conversation or a real relationship, which, and I feel like even if you didn't have social media, it'd still be that way. You don't ever just walk up to somebody and be like, you know, talk to me about depression. Talk to me about, like you don't want to ask, it's too evading. You don't know how they're going to respond.
I wish it was that way.
Yeah.
Like, well, I wish it was. I know that's completely a fantasy, but I'm saying, like, I wish that we were on the level as humans, as a fucking whole species, that we could have these kind of conversations with anyone and everyone. And I think through that's when actual change starts to happen. Yeah. When people voice their opinions and you can have conversations that you would never have because I think A, B, and C.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could see a lot of positives and negatives coming from that too. I will just say, in regards to having that fake interaction at first on social media, I'm okay with it because I feel like either way you have to have that fake conversation before you can actually get into the deep shit. But either way, in regards to how, what the fuck, this is what we were talking about earlier. Your mind thinks quicker than your mouth. So I had a thought and I was going to present it, and literally I'm like, down a rabbit hole.
Wait, here, hold on. So, as an appreciation gift, I got you a little something.
What the fuck is this guy?
It's really stupid.
Podcast first.
Yeah. Well, it's
think again.
But no, it's a little trapped mind. So I thought maybe you could put that on your thing, and it's like your little.
I'll have this set up for every episode.
All right, cool.
That's good. You were waiting for the right time. I had no idea. That's funny as shit.
I meant to do it at the beginning, but it just totally got lost in conversation.
Well, I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
It's actually an eraser, but I thought it was kind of.
No, but it's trapped. I'm not gonna remove it. I'm not gonna ever use the eraser. I'm gonna keep it in there.
Right.
I like the whole concept. I like the concept of that's just to bring it up. So Trapped in My Mind is a song
from... I was going to say, why did you go with that name, or what are you trying to...
You obviously know I'm a huge Kid Cudi fan. Yeah. I think anybody that follows me at least a little bit knows I'm a Kid Cudi fan. I stand it too hard. In general, if I am a fan of somebody, I fanboy way too hard. I don't know why. But Kid Cudi, since like 2000... Well, since like 7th grade, fucking has been my vice, or what's got me through a lot of different shit.
Yep.
And Trapped in My Mind, I think, is really cool because... For one, the song's great. You should listen to it. But for two, like, he's kind of talking about how, well, I don't want to speak for him, but what I took from that and how it relates to me is that I'm so, like, conflicted with my thoughts. And lots of times it's thoughts that if I voiced them to somebody, they could make sense. Like, they could help me understand what I'm thinking. But I'll just go back and forth and internalize so many different things. It's like, fuck, I'm stressing myself out. Or... in this manner, the reason I chose it for the name of this podcast is because lots of times I'm very stubborn, and I grew up in a family that argues a lot. Yeah. Not hateful arguments, but to prove your point. I mean, my brother is my dad.
Yeah.
Especially being the youngest of three, if I want to be heard, I have to really bring my case, and so it's led me to do that with other people I interact with. So very, very strong-willed. If it's something I actually care about, I will be really strong-willed and stubborn. And lots of times I think I'm always right, which I think is very bad. You shouldn't do that. And I've gotten a lot better about it. And I just always think also my way was always correct. Like, we have to do it my way. Why my way? Because I'm right. And even if I was right often, which I don't know if I was or not, that's not a good way to do it. That people don't like that. Some people like to be led, some people don't.
Yeah.
But either way, that's a long rabbit hole to basically say I chose that because I understand that a lot of things are just internal, and I needed to like let it go and listen to other people. And I think I'm pretty good about listening to my close friends, but if like I don't if I don't know you, or I don't respect you, or I don't agree with you, oftentimes I'll be like, well, you're wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that because I've had conversations with people who I initially thought were wrong, and they've moved me to think in a different way. And I think that's very hard to do, and I'm starting to learn how to do it, and I want to keep learning how to do it. So, and also, I mean, this isn't to speak to the title of why I named it Trapped in My Mind.
Yeah.
But another reason why I have this podcast is because, motherfucker, dude. Again, I'm getting like stage fright. Why am I not thinking? What the fuck?
You're talking about you, so now you're like, shit, what do I need to say? It's fine. But to respond on Trapped in My Mind, when I heard that you were going to call it that, I knew that it was a Cudi song. So I was like, that makes sense. I like that. And I like the title too.
It's authentic to me.
Yeah, like you said, you internalize a lot of things. Mm-hmm. So you kind of feel like you're trapped, but it's important to actually talk them out to other people and get their opinions and actually speak what's on your mind, because it's almost therapeutic to actually release some of those thoughts and put them out into the world for either one person to see or a whole bunch of people.
Well,
but
yeah.
It's good.
I also want to challenge. I want people to challenge my idea of thinking. Whether you come on here and we agree on something, cool. Let's talk about why we think that, and maybe we completely agree on all of it. But I would be very surprised if we agreed on every single aspect. Right. So if we talk about the one thing we don't agree on, it's not to debate or like to put you down. It's to challenge my idea of thinking so I can become more knowledgeable or more empathetic to how people think or feel. And what I'd really like to get to is, okay, you express this opinion. Even if I don't agree with you, why do you think that way? Is it because of something you heard, something you went through? Yep. What's conditioned you to think that way? And I will say one thing that has taught me a lot is having conversations, like I've told you with Steven, my oldest brother. I'll go to him and I'll be like, dude, I'm so fucking annoyed with this, whatever it be. He'll be like, why? oh, okay, because of this is really just upsetting to me. Why does that upset you? What's going to happen if this happens? Whatever. And it's like having those conversations not only broaden my idea of like other people's perspective, but it also helps me think through why I think the way I do. And so I've been able to realize why I like attention sometimes. It's because I grew up always getting attention, so now I feel like, because I'm the youngest, so I feel like if I don't have it, I'm doing something wrong. Mm-hmm. Or another thing, I feel like I pick on my friends as a way of showing affection, because being the youngest of three brothers, I'm always bagged on and joked on and put down, not because my brothers don't like me. They obviously like me. They like me a lot. And so I don't like feel depressed when they pick on me. It's kind of like, oh, it's, shooting the shit with the boys. Right. And so now and Wes is one I can think of, growing up, we pick on him a lot. And I don't know why, I do know why, I think, because of how I was conditioned. And it's not okay, because that's how I was treated, and that's how I show my affection, or how it was shown to me. And my brothers show me affection in other ways too. It's not just like they're only shitty. They're not. They're awesome. But point being is, it helps me understand why I do the things I do. Like I'm hard on my friends, and I pick on my friends because that's how it was done to me, and it means I like you. Yep. You know what I mean? So it's like having these conversations help me realize my own thinking and can help change my mind or open it to other people's perspective. Yeah. So I hope that answered your question. It was a very long rabbit hole, but
you mentioned attention.
Yeah.
In that you this is kind of backtracking a little bit, but you mentioned attention and you like it because you kind of had to fight for it, being one of three brothers.
And being the youngest, I was like my mom's baby, so I got it from her all the time.
Yes. And you also mentioned way earlier that me deleting social media is that kind of making me more isolated, or kind of putting me down that rabbit hole, for lack of a better word. So I think for me personally, I'm an only child, so I never had like a brother or a sister to kind of give me flack or to go to for advice, or to vent to, or this and that. So my entire life I've had to kind of internalize, because I'm not going to, if mom and dad piss me off, I'm not going to go to mom and dad and talk about it. Yeah. I would go to a sibling, ideally, but I didn't really have that, so I would always internalize that. And so I think I have a hard time showing my thoughts, or like sharing my thoughts on social media, because I'm so used to internalizing it. So I just want to keep it for me, in me, and like trapped in my mind. You know what I'm saying? Like I never had that person or that sibling to go to whenever I had like a question, or whenever I was feeling down, or this or that. So I think it's just conditioned me throughout my life to be very independent, only work through problems myself, never go to other people for help, which I hate, now realizing it, and that's what I always
It's hard to go to other people for help.
Yeah.
Especially when you think you're always right.
Right, and which I'm also probably guilty of.
Yeah.
So it's just, that has, when you said trapped in my mind, it was like, yeah, dude, like that's like the perfect fucking thing, because now this is an outlet, kind of. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and hopefully, I think a lot of people, have feelings that are internalized or are trapped in their mind. So hopefully hearing dialogue from others helps other people as well. If not, and it only helps me, fine, I'll be selfish and I'll take that help for myself. Yeah. But I will say, one thing I think is crazy is not having a sibling to go to. And I'm not trying to like put you down. Yeah. I don't understand how you did that. And I will say, I can think maybe I know what that feels like, but I really don't, because I always got slack. I was like, oh, I don't want to go express a weakness to them or express a thought to them. And so I used to internalize everything until it got to a point where I couldn't do that anymore, or it was going to go really badly for me. Yeah. And I opened up to my brothers, and that's changed everything. I can literally go to them for anything, and I realize that now. However, you don't have brothers or sisters to do that with. So even though I didn't do that for a long time, I understand how it felt, but I always had that option. So I can't even imagine how any only child internalizes things, and how I'm not trying to speak for you, but how crazy that would make me feel, like if I had thoughts or like shit I need to get off my chest and don't know who to go to, because you can always go to your friends, but they're not dealing with the same shit at home that you are. Yeah. So how the fuck do you do that?
And you said something that made me kind of like think, and I think one of the reasons why I got rid of social media was because I was finding myself going to social media to
vent.
Yeah, and
dude,
like
it's dangerous.
I fucking hate people who do that, and I didn't want to be a hypocrite, and I was like, well, maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. That's not the sole reason why I got rid of it.
Yeah,
but
that's a big contributor, dude. Because no one gives a fuck when you put a sad shit on there, and it makes you like, oh, why does no one care? It's like, dude,
you're looking for attention, you fucking bitch.
There's no way to win it.
Yeah, right. So that's obviously not good. And I also have stepbrother and stepsister. So shout out to you guys. I'm not forgetting about you guys. You guys are awesome.
If you're watching,
yeah. But
subscribe.
It was weird. And I think I put a lot of stock in my friends growing up. Like, even before I was, real big with you guys, you, Jake, Wes, Ryan. My childhood friends, I put a lot of stock into, and, they aren't really my friends anymore. So, like, I think once that happened, and, like, once I did, like, kind of use them almost as, like, a sibling, or, like, an outlet, or, like, somebody that was very close to me, like a family member, and then, like, you grow older, and, like, they're gone, and it's like, well, now, who do I have, or, like, now what? And, like, it just internalizes you more, because you don't want to open up to anybody else, because now you're scared that they're also going to leave. And that's also a huge thing with divorce, too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just, like, it was a weird fucking thing for me to try to reason with myself in my mind, what's right, what's wrong, what should I do, why am I feeling like this? And I mean, I'm not trying to sound shitty or pitiful, but like, I also was very cautious of like not bringing up the fact that I'm an only child too much, or like the fact that like I don't have those outlets. Like because
you don't want the pity.
Right, exactly. Like I hate that. If there's one thing I don't want you to feel for me, it's pity.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I can handle things my own, and that's what going through all of these things has taught me. But now I think I'm just a lot more reserved, and it's harder for me to actually open up to people and feel vulnerable.
Yeah, dude. Fuck yeah, it's hard, dude.
Yeah.
I will say, your rant there I'm made of questions, and I don't even know where to start. First off, even if you lean on your friends, it takes a very, very, very long time to build up the type of trust you have with friends as you do with brothers.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, your brothers are stuck with you.
Yeah, right.
So you can say some shit that they don't like, and they're not going to be like, oh, fuck you, I'm not your friend anymore. And unfortunately, our friend group is pretty damn good about being like brothers. We can have disagreements, and it doesn't usually last more than a week tops.
Yeah.
But these people who you started having friendships with, younger, it's like, well, not only have they gone now, but to get to the level of trust that you need to be to where you can actually feel comfortable sharing these things, where you're not going to get judged or left again, takes so fucking long, and it's so much effort. You have to put in a lot of effort yourself to get the type of friendships, like, at least for me, if I want a good friendship, I put in a lot of effort in my friendships.
Yeah.
So that's why I have good friends. But, I mean...
And that's something that I lack, is that I don't think I put enough effort in, but it's because I'm scared that one day that's not going to be there. So it's like, for me, it's
like you're a pretty good friend.
I mean, yeah, but I feel like I could...
To more people, you're saying?
Yeah, and okay. I could reach out to, like, people more. I could, like, make plans more. I could, be more of a friend than I am. But I think there's something in my mind that keeps me from, like, making plans, reaching out, because I don't want to be put in that place where I'm asking you to hang out, or I'm asking you to do something, and you feel pressured, or you don't want to. Mm-hmm. And then so I'm like, well, he's just going to leave too, kind of thing. And so it sounds shitty. I know that you guys aren't just going to fucking up and leave, and, fuck you, Ross. But with new people and other friends, it's like, if you do open up your true self, or you do, like, put this whole thing on them, are they going to run?
Well, dude, I would be remiss to say I don't think anybody in this world knows 100% about me.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And I'll say there's people like you guys probably know 95% of me. But like you said, if you are opening up your true self, everything, every thought, everything you've done, every mistake you've made to somebody, it's that's like the ultimate test of vulnerability. And I haven't done that, so I'm not ready to do that. But layer by layer expressing vulnerability, I think, is important, and it makes relationships better. But I will say, you mentioned divorce and the feeling that if a conversation doesn't go the way you want, somebody could just leave. I never experienced divorce. I have a lot of friends who have.
Yep.
But I mean, who do you go to in a time where your parents are getting a divorce? You don't have siblings.
Yeah, you know that.
And not to be an asshole, like, I honestly.
And it's a good point or a good question. And you know, at that time, while we're going through the divorce, I don't have my step siblings yet. You know, so like.
Well, you were a kid, right?
Yeah.
Like second grade, third grade.
Yeah, third grade. And so, you know, I don't have my step siblings yet, and so like I can't go to them. And you know, third grade me, I can't remember much. I can't really, you know, remember what was going through my head, or you know, if I ever felt like, oh my god, I don't know what to do. Who do I go to? Who do I talk to?
Yeah.
You know, this and that. But looking back on it, I definitely wish that there was somebody there to kind of give me that outlet, or like to actually kind of guide me. Where like, and you know, it wasn't like, okay, divorce, you're, you know, spending half the week with your mom, half the week with your dad. For a long time, I was just living with my dad. You know, single parent household, kind of going through it. So it was, it sucked for a long time. But I mean, my dad did an amazing job.
Yeah.
He went, you know, up and above everything that I ever could have imagined out of a single parent.
Yeah.
Looking back. But it can definitely, I think, change how you view relationships, and I think that's why I have a tough time with them now, because it just, you know, it's funny. I used to look at kids with divorced parents, you know, like people, like a counselor would come into like second grade and be like, you know, Tom, Dick, and Harry, come here, you know, we're going to counseling or whatever, and they'd be like, oh, you know, those kids that have divorced parents. And I'm like,
freaks.
Yeah, I'm never gonna fucking be there. And then, you know, lo and behold, a year later, you know, that's me. And it was just like, it was kind of like a culture shock. And I didn't know how to exactly handle it. I didn't know why they were getting divorced. I didn't know if it was my fault. I didn't know, you know, where my mom was for a long time. I didn't know what the future of, you know, me and my dad had in store. So I think that definitely has a lot to do with how I view relationships and what I define a relationship as. You know, I don't think that...
You're talking about relationships with anybody, not just like a significant other.
Yeah, no. I think that something like that, I don't want to say scarred me, but it made me look differently at relationships as a whole.
Like if your two heroes can't... I hate to speak to it because it's not my bad.
I'll tell you if you're fucking up.
If like two people can't figure it out, how am I supposed to? Like these people,
these
people are my parents. Like
exactly.
And I can't even speak to it. I don't know.
And it's not like I have a real good understanding of it. You know, as how old were you in third grade? 9?
I don't fucking
8,
know,
9,
dude.
Something like that.
I'd have to think. I don't feel like.
Yeah. So I don't know how I really dealt with it. I don't know how I got through it, or like, you know, I'm pretty fucked up now. So I mean, there's obviously been some repercussions about it, but yeah, divorce is definitely a weird fucking thing. But at the same time, I can't look at myself and what it's done to me and not take into consideration what my mom and dad staying together would have done to them.
Yeah, or to you.
Right. And so it's just, and really, they did a pretty good job of like hiding it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was just kind of like one day, boom, the bombs dropped. It wasn't like, you know, they're fucking fighting every night nonstop. You know, I really didn't get exposed to much of that. So they did a good job, and I think they had, you know, me in mind for a lot of it.
Yeah.
But
I will say, just the topic of divorce, it's so weird because it's so common now, but it's also so like hard to bring up. Like, I'm not going to air anybody's dirty laundry, but I know personally some people who've had divorced parents, and after I realized that their parents were divorced, shortly after, they've like gone into like, maybe not a depressive state, but they've changed. Like they've a lot more like to themselves, a lot more just, mopey has a negative connotation, like mopey, like just, it's like, for a while when this specific person I have in mind. I'm like, dude, what the fuck's your problem? Like,
yeah,
you still have us. Why is that not enough? And it's so ignorant to be, because like I have parents who've always been married and have been great parents, and not that divorced parents aren't good parents. That's not what I'm saying. But like, it was so selfish of me to be like, dude,
cheer up.
so you have one relationship that's not how you want it to be, but you have us. We're good friends, and we're not enough, which is so selfish, because it's like, I can't now, like, that I've spoken to a few people about it. It's like, I couldn't even imagine how that would have affected me. And also, like, I don't know what age is like the best time to have a divorce happen. Young, when you don't understand what's going on, but it might have effects down the line, or older when you understand,
Completely.
Yeah. So it's just, but like the thing is, so the point I was trying to make is like, I recognize some of these, whether it be close friends of mine or friends of mine that gone through a divorce. I noticed a change in their behavior, but I didn't want to be a dickhead to bring up like, hey,
what's your problem?
What, like, I know your parents got divorced. Why are you being so like?
Yeah.
Because how do you bring that up?
Subject.
And like, I feel like now, if it happened, I could bring it up maybe a little bit more casually.
Yeah.
But like in high school or middle school or whenever it was, it's like, how are you supposed to like bring it up and not sound like you're calling somebody on like some shit that offends them?
Yeah.
So like, and I feel like there's a lot of things like that, whether it be divorced parents or whatever. Because you haven't gone through it, you're like, I don't understand it. But you recognize that it changes somebody else, but you don't want to bring it up. So it's like you just have a weird bubble around it where you're thinking badly about some person because you don't understand their mindset, and this other person's feeling so shitty about themselves because they can't tell anybody, and there's no middle ground. So it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could ask you questions all day about things that you felt, if you could even remember them.
Yeah.
But,
well, please. I mean, don't feel like, you need to beat around the bush. Lay it out. I
just don't understand. Like, well, for example, like if my parents got divorced, like, it's so weird. Like, do you like pick a side, or do you just like stay out of it, or?
I mean, it's completely up to it's circumstantial. Depending on how your mom and dad split, and how cordial it is, and
what happened,
messy, and whatever. So I mean, I kind of had to pick a side. Like, my mom left. So for the first 3 months or whatever, I was not stuck with my dad, but I was living with my dad and in the same house that I grew up in. So it was kind of easy. My mom just left, and I mean, up until that point, you could probably call me a mama's boy. It was like, I loved my mom.
Very preppy.
Well, I mean, it was third grade. I don't know how preppy I could have been, but I love my mom. I liked being with my mom, and so when that happened, it definitely brought my dad and I a lot closer. In that instance and over time.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
We created a new kind of relationship that was beneficial to me, to us, really, and so I mean, I guess you kind of have to take a side, and it goes with how much you know about them splitting up and why they did.
And that's the thing too. Like, if you don't know something, like, well, whether it be divorce or anything, if I don't know something, it fucking irritates. It eats at my skin. Yeah. It's like I have to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Even if you tell me a decision, I need to know why you're making that decision. So like in a divorce, especially I feel like being young, lots of times you're not shared details. No. I could be wrong. Yeah. But maybe it wouldn't eat me up so much as a kid because I'm just a kid, but like if something happened now like that, I'd be like, why did this fucking happen? I need to know. Yeah. So like, do you remember if you had those thoughts of why is this happening?
Well, I remember having the thought of, is it me? Because like I would always think before I came they were still together, and then 9 years later I'm in the picture, and to a third grade mind the only thing that's changing or that's different is you. Mm-hmm. That's the only other factor that you're putting into account, and so you feel a little bit like it might be you, and especially because it wasn't like my parents came to me and was like, we're getting a divorce, this isn't working. I was told that my mom was leaving for a little bit and she'd be back. And then, she was on a work trip, but she'd be back.
Introduced to it.
Yeah, and it was just, really, it was nothing but just lies on top of lies on top of lies, because I think they were trying to hide it from me, or maybe they still had some sort of thought that it could work out.
Get a break.
Yeah. But that never happened. She never came back. And so I remember them coming back and us sitting down at the kitchen table and having this conversation, and like them telling me like, yeah, this is it, we're getting a divorce. And I mean, I just fucking lost it. I didn't know how to take it. So I mean, I didn't know how to handle it.
You're not one to bullshit, so I know you're telling the truth. But that's interesting because I always thought that, it's because of me. It was a cliche. And
I know, and it's the annoying thing, because for a long time, I always told myself that. I was always like, you're just thinking that because it's so common. Like, you just think it's your fault because that's what you always hear in fucking movies, or, and
I just feel like, people like to say that because they like, people who want pity sometimes say it. And don't cancel me for this. This is just how I perceive it sometimes. It's like somebody would be like, oh, I thought they left because of me and it was really hard for me to deal with. And that could very well be true. But I feel like so many people said, I'm like, why would you think they left because of you? Because it doesn't seem
legitimacy.
But it's interesting to hear from somebody who I know is not bullshitting me, because because the idea of parents splitting because of a kid is so asinine to me that how could that even cross your mind? But I've never been in that position to where I would start to self-doubt, like, oh, it was because of me.
Well, and that's the thing. If this happened 2 years ago, 5 years ago, even 6 years ago, if I was older, I don't think I would have thought that. But because I couldn't understand the real concept behind a relationship and what makes a relationship work and all the things that could go wrong, I was the only factor.
Well, and being only child.
And I couldn't go to a brother or sister and be like,
it's because of us.
What the fuck is this?
Not just me.
Yeah, right. I can place the blame on somebody else too. But yeah, it was fucking me, and that's it. And so it makes you think you're the problem. And then you just internalize that and like, I never went and saw a counselor. No. I never went to therapy for it or anything like that. So it like, I don't really think I got like a good explanation of like what I was feeling, why I was feeling it, and that kind of thing. So I was just kind of left in the dark.
So is that why in new relationships, if someone leaves, do you feel like it's because of you? Subconsciously, maybe.
Well,
or recognized?
Not so much, but I think what the divorce did to me in like a real relationship, like not a friendship, but like me and a girlfriend or something like that. I'm always extremely timid to go further than my comfort zone. So like if things start to get serious, or like I start really having feelings for somebody, or something like that, I leave. Because I don't want to feel left again. So I do the leaving. It's fucked up. But that's how I cope with it, and that's how I deal with things. So it, like, and that's what pisses me off so bad, because like the relationship could be going so good. But like once I start getting like too comfortable, or once I start like falling too in love, or like just opening up a little too much,
you put like a shield around yourself.
I get scared.
It's like
I ditch.
See, that's interesting, because I'm like the exact opposite. I'd rather somebody break up with me than break up with somebody else.
I mean, it definitely sucks to be the one.
It sucks either way.
Yeah.
It sucks either way.
Yeah. But I would rather save myself. It's selfish, really. But I would rather save myself the heartache of getting left and just leave myself.
See, well, hey.
It's like a self-defense mechanism, or it's like a protection.
I definitely understand that, and I feel like either way you frame it, it's almost selfish. Like, for example, if we were dating, that'd be perfect, because if we broke up, I'd want you to break up with me, and you'd want to break up with me. But it's interesting because you say it's selfish to do it that way because you're leaving, so that way you don't have to feel the pain of them leaving. I feel like it's almost selfish because it's like, I could be in a position. I could be in a position where I'm like, I don't want to talk to this person anymore, but I don't want to hurt their feelings. So I'll just idle by, waiting for them to do it, which is more selfish because it's like, well,
you're not putting your whole effort into
it. But you're just and I would prefer it that way, because I feel like even if let's say I'm dating somebody and I don't want to break up at all.
Yeah.
I would still rather they break up with me, because I know that I can handle the sadness of it, And even though if it sucks really bad, which oftentimes it does, I can handle I can do something about it.
Yeah.
But if I break up with somebody, even if I don't want to, it's like some things like sometimes like you'll break up with somebody like it's just not gonna work out. Even though I like you, it's just not gonna work out. I would feel so bad if I found out like they were having a hard time dealing with it. So it's like to save myself the guilt of breaking up with somebody, I would rather them do it to me. So in that way, I feel like that's selfish because I'm saving myself the guilt of the feeling of breaking up with somebody. So either way you frame it, it could be seen as selfish.
Yes.
Either way, it's a shitty thing all around.
Yeah. And how do I put it? I leave them and I leave the relationship in fear of, I think, being left alone. Not so much me being scared or like me wanting to get out. I don't want to be left alone, or I don't want to feel abandoned again. So I have to be the one to leave because I don't want to be put back in that position that I was when I was in third grade and feel those kind of emotions. And which, I mean, honestly, I probably should, just so I can, like, you know, digest them
face it
the proper way now as a you know, a grown person. So it's not so much that, I mean, it is selfish, but it's not so much that I leave because I'm scared. I leave because I don't want to open up, but I leave because I don't want to feel abandoned or I don't want to feel alone.
So let me ask you though, if you leave or when you leave, whatever it may be, does that solve that, or do you like? Does it feel good at first, and then you're like, oh, I feel alone still because now I don't have anybody?
Well, it's on my terms, so I feel better about it because I'm in control, and that's the other thing. I'm a fucking control freak.
Yeah.
Because I'm an only child, so it's my way or my way or the highway my whole life. Mm-hmm. So I like to be the one in control. I like to be, you know, on top of things, and so that's also why I think that I would rather be the one to leave, and it's weird because. Maybe I just haven't met the right person, and if I had, I would have stayed. And so, you know, now you're bringing, like, love into it and stuff. So, I mean, like, say I had met, you know, my future wife, maybe I wouldn't leave because I feel so comfortable with her. And because I feel like I could actually open up to her. But whoever I've been with thus far, I've had some sort of doubt or some sort of second guess, and I'm like...
Shouldn't feel that way.
Gotta fucking pull out.
Yeah.
Yeah. In more ways than one.
Bag it before you tag it.
Yeah.
No, dude, I feel that. We could go on and on about different things, but I mean, we can have you on another episode to explore those because
100%. I'd love to come back on.
I don't want to bore people with 4 hours in one session, but either way, thank you. We will have you on again. One thing I want to kind of introduce to the series is before anyone signs off. Share a tip that you have for either something you do that helps you achieve good mental health or something that makes you happy, just because mental health is a big goal of mine, and if we can end it on a positive note and people can learn other things that might make them happy based off what you say, that would be awesome. So what is one thing that either you do to achieve good mental health or something that makes you happy?
Well, I don't know if I achieved mental health or good mental health yet, but I don't know if I'm... You know.
Well, if you're if you're on the cliff, what helps you step off?
Yeah. So, I guess I'll take today, for example. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I was obviously excited for this. I want to come do this, you know, totally pumped. But then, like, you know, the closer and closer I got, you know, the more and more nerves. Yeah. And, you know, getting a little nervy and shit. And so I don't know if this is maybe mental health or more anxiety or what, but I love to have, like, a jam session. Like, on the way here, like, I actually was worried walking in here that I, like, fucked my voice up because I was screaming so loud in the car.
So you're singing in the jam session?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, like, I being able to, like... But this is another thing, is, like, with me, I might not have as many conversations as you do, or I might not, like, use my voice as much as you do. So, like, I like to, like, use my voice. I like to breathe a lot. I like to... do things that will make me feel happier or like calm my nerves or something like that. So like singing at the top of my lungs, breath work, you know,
running, all those things.
Yes. And running is definitely a thing I need to get back into because it was a huge part of my life. And I think I owe a lot of my happiness in high school to cross country and running.
But it seems like you've taken, I mean, a big thing of running is breathing. So if you're taking that, if you're applying that skill in a different setting, I mean, it translates.
So I love to breathe. And I mean, I know these aren't like huge fucking tips or anything, but also I think that we need to look more inward instead of outward at other people. I think we need to look more at ourselves and at our relationships, our thoughts, our urges, our temptations, all of that, and deal with those head on rather than looking towards other people and looking what they're doing, looking what is working for them, because everybody's fucking different. Everybody has their own thing. Everybody has their own happy place. So, I mean, just because Susie likes to go to the mall and shop and, retail therapy, that ain't going to help.
No, that can make a lot of things worse.
That was probably a bad example, but
no, but it might help somebody.
If she likes to bike and you like to swim, don't go bike just because Susie likes to bike.
Yeah, but at the same time, it can help unlock something that you might like that you didn't know.
True.
That's why I ask. True.
Yeah. So I mean, try everything once.
So you'd say, for my summary, you'd say breathing, whether it be like inner reflection, like meditation type thing, heavy breaths, or singing, or running, something that.
It kind of like centers you. It like brings you back to like, oh, okay, like now I can assess it. Before you're like, oh my God, this, and it, like just a deep breath. Slow it down, look at it more, objectively, and like assess the issue instead of like snowballing about it because you're worried or something like that.
Take a pause.
Yes. Take a step back, see what the fuck's going on.
And let it out.
Assess it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good tip.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, that works for me. I fucking love singing, so I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
And then this will be the only time I share what one of my things are, because after that, it's going to be on the Instagram, so check it out on Instagram. I don't know the handle yet, so I need to learn how to introduce that better, but I think it's like TIMM pod at Instagram. So either way, look for it, trapped in my mind. Either way, we'll be sharing that tip. But one thing I do that achieves mental health, I kind of alluded to it, is listening to music. Yep. So there's going to be something on Instagram for the song of the week. Check it out to hear mine and Ross's songs of the week. Other than that, thank you. I know the nerves, at least for me, to start the podcast were very high. Yep. So I appreciate you being the brave one to start this with me. Yep. Enjoyed the conversation.
I appreciate you having me on.
Well, you're always.
We'll do it again.
Yeah, we will.
All right, cool.
Sounds good, buddy. All right, thanks, guys. Like and subscribe this if you liked it. If you want to be on the podcast, send me an email at I don't even know.
Just come on, you fucks.
TIMMpodcast@gmail.com, or look me up on Instagram. If you're listening to this, you know where to fucking find me. So
there you go.
Hit me up if you want to be on. With that, well, I'll see you next week. Thank you.
See you guys.